Hey, good evening, everyone. This is working well? Yeah, thank you. So I do teach 8th grade humanities, and one of the major units I teach in the spring is the civil rights unit. I think it's really important to teach the civil rights era beyond Dr. King and Rosa Parks. When I start the unit and I ask students, show me with your fingers how many people do you know that are leaders in the civil rights movement, they only often stick up two fingers, Rosa Parks and Dr. King. And so in this presentation, I'm going to go over who are some of the hidden heroes that we should really get to know and the importance of teaching civil rights beyond King and Parks. This is Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. He's most known for being one of the major organizers, and this is a photo of him outside his house after the KKK bombed his house. And you know, we often think about what happened to him, how did his life get affected, but what about his children? Fred Shuttlesworth Jr. We talk a lot about children in our class. We also talk about the 1963 Children's Crusade in Birmingham, where students, my students' age, skipped school, played hooky, organized, and stood up against segregation laws in Birmingham. And that's 50 years ago as well. I put up this picture because I also, you know, the students and I will also talk about civil rights leaders that were women and the other hidden heroes. So we all know the story of Rosa Parks. All my students know her story from the beginning to the end, but we don't know about Claudette Colvin. Claudette Colvin was 15 years old when she refused to move her seat in Montgomery. And this was 9 months before Rosa Parks did the same thing. Why don't we remember Claudette Colvin the same way we remember Rosa Parks? Well, I think there's a cookie-cutter way that we try to remember historic moments and figures. Claudette Colvin was pregnant, she was a teenager, and she was not married. She wasn't the right look for the figurehead, to be a figurehead for that bus boycott. So we talk about Claudette Colvin, and the students do research and they create blogs, which are basically web blogs for education. We also talk a lot about Fannie Lou Hamer. She's most known for her quote, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." She was an uneducated sharecropper for most of her life. When she turned 37, she started organizing people, African Americans, to get to vote. And she got so far as to send a group of black delegates to the Democratic National Convention. And this is when LBJ was trying really hard to get the nomination. And her group went there and in front of the entire national audience said, "You want black votes, but you're not going to seat us black delegates." She also went on and talked about her experiences of being abused by state troopers just trying to desegregate highway rest stops. I think teachers also try to shy away from teaching about Huey Newton and Black Power. I think there's this dichotomy of whatever is not nonviolent strategy is violent. And I think this prevents young people from understanding the ideas behind the rage. This is from the show Boondocks. The main character is named and inspired by Huey Newton. And I use things like these to really engage the students that I teach. I often talk about Malcolm X, and I ask students, what do they know about him? And they often say he's violent. And then I follow by asking, have you ever heard of a story where he hit someone or raised his fist in anger and tried to strike someone? And I think that's another way of looking at how we think about civil rights. This photo was taken the night that Dr. Malcolm X was assassinated. In that Life magazine photo, there's an Asian woman next to him, and on the side it just said unknown woman. But I think for many people who were part of the movement back then, her name was Yuri Kochiyama, and she was very active. And not only was she spied on by the FBI, she was quoted as being an organizer for the Black nationalists. And I also talk about how there were so many other movements happening at the same time. And this really connects with the majority of our students because we're such a diverse community. It's not just a black and white issue. So we talk about the American Indian movement. And we also talk about Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez and the burgeoning Latino political protest movements. And so, I really think it's important to help students identify with the civil rights movement beyond Rosa Parks and Dr. King. And in that way, they can find someone that they can connect to, whether by age, gender, sexuality, ethnicity, ideas. And I think they would be more engaged to become the torchbearers of a movement of freedom, justice, and equality. Thank you.
Yeah.